Welcome to the first episode of High Above Courtside. My name is Jason. That's Steven. That's Anthony. Guys, what's going on?
What's up, Jay?
Cloud nine, man. Fantastic. We just dominated.
All right. Big win for the Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers, 120-117. Just tell me what you liked about that game and what they could work on.
I guess I'll go first. The game was a lot closer than the final score lets on, I'd say. We kind of dominated that first half. But I think we kind of won it twice. So, the third quarter we'll start in, and Kata comes in, and it's going to be a tough showing for Kata. He came back in when it was 79-63 with 6:55 left. And then from that point to the end of that quarter, it was 25-14 run. So that's kind of tough to swallow. Not the best showing for Kata. But, I don't know. What do you think, Tony?
So for me, biggest takeaway from last night is the Cavs are legit. The Cavs are the second best team in the East. They have an unsolvable problem with the Celtics when playing the Celtics and possibly some other teams. Their two best players are 6'2" and 6 feet. And to me, the biggest thing last night was their ability to keep Garland in almost every action and pretty much created most of their good looks most of the night. So I like Cleveland. Think they're the second best team. Think they're going to have problems with size on the perimeter against the Celtics.
Yeah, I think, they kind of went bonkers posting a 166.7 offensive rating in that third quarter. And that was just due to
Wait, they were 166?
Yeah, and we're what? They were 122, I think they're as ranked first, right? So they did their best imitation of Boston's killer whale offensive attacking Kata. They don't normally play that style, but the only way for them to get back into the game, because we were killing them, was to find the weakest link. And unfortunately for Kata, it was him when they were attacking him on switches. Now, with that said, he's not going to be out there in the playoffs as our third or fourth big when we're healthy. So I'm not too worried about Cleveland finding a chink in the armor that way. And I know it kind of sounds like I'm picking on Kata, but Joe left him out there to get figured out. The only way he's going to do that is get better live game reps against us. So going to have to do that against the best ISO scorers, as you saw him against Curry. Mitchell was just going bananas on us. But he currently leads the league, Kata, in matchup minutes percentage. So against all gods, he's the one leading that at 34.2%. That's crazy because Sengun is at second at 29.7. So there's a big gap there. And it's not just Kata. It's just like a scheme of the Celtics in general. Al's sitting there at, fourth at 27.9. Luke's at 6. So the whole scheme, I think what Joe is trying to do is we stay home and everyone else, and then the bigs are going to have to be in space, and hopefully that limits our threes, which they do. I mean, Cavs made their fewest threes of the year last night and took only one more attempt than they're low in that category. They also made fewer threes per minute basis against Kata. So I think it works out, but it does look ugly at times. But I said at the beginning of this, we won it twice, right? So the third quarter on, we had to make up for that shitty third quarter. But in the first half, the defense to start the ball game was just championship defense. We held Cleveland to 48 points, which is a 104.3 offensive rating. Like I said at the beginning, they were 122.1 to lead. So in the first half, they were 104. In that third quarter, they were around 140. So that's a big difference. And then to put it into context, the worst offensive rating right now is Philly at 104.2, which is putrid. That's just a G-League team right there.
So when you look at Jayson Tatum, do you think that's a statement game for him last night that proves that he should belong in top 3 for MVP?
I mean, 33, 12, 7 and 2.
I mean, in a game full of, I've said this a few times, in a game full of great players, he was clearly, for 48 minutes, the best guy on the floor. Every time he was on the court, he controlled the game. He was getting he was getting to switch. He was getting in the paint. He was driving, kicking. The three ball was going. I mean, defensively, he was great. Anytime the Celtics want to get stops, they can put Tatum on the center and switch all the actions. And I mean, that one was up there. National TV game, undefeated team. It was the cup. It was the cup. That means something more.
Yeah, the in-season tournament. I think Jayson Tatum, like, he's proved that he belongs top 3, right? I mean, he's putting up almost like, I think Perk said it on ESPN. That was honestly, when Perk says something good about the Celtics, right? It's an absolute mind-blowing scenario.
Yeah. Haley's Comet.
I mean, he was just saying, like, he belongs up there, and I have to agree with him because, like, Tatum gets slack, right? Because everything that the Celtics have, like all like the roster pieces, the good players, like around the best team in the league, they just won, and he doesn't get the votes, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was in playoff mode from the tip. He was driving, he was kicking, making the right plays. He had 8, 5, 3, and 2 steals in the first quarter, which is great. Yeah, if we're going to be talking about trends later on, but the first quarter, Tatum playing like all the minutes, it's just fantastic. It's a revelation, and I'm here for it. And then in the second quarter, like he followed up that 8, 5, 3, and 2 with 8, 3, and 1, going 3 for 3 from deep, which is just like crazy. And that first half, he finished with 17, 8, 4, and 2. So he's coming off with strong stats. You can't really ask much more from the guy. Playing point, playing center on the defense. I mean, he does it all.
Yeah, but he's the best wing in the league. I don't see an argument for anybody else. It's tough to, best player in the league, 5th best player in the league, whatever. It's tough I like to divide it up into bigs, littles, wings. He's the best wing, clearly. Is he going to put up Jokic numbers? No, because he's not going to shoot 60% like a big man, will. But he's the most impactful wing in the league. He's your best defensive player. He's your best offensive player. He's your best point guard. I mean, he was a stud last night. I mean, simple as that.
No, I agree with that. I think he deserves top 3. He deserves to get mentioned. And I think as long as he keeps putting these games together, where he's getting 30-plus points, 12 rebounds, maybe even like 7, 8, 9 assists, on average, I think he'll be good. But I want to move to the Hawks game. I know, Steve, you have a lot of thoughts on that Hawks game, the first in-season game. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you thought about that game and sort of like the struggles that they had in that game?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the championship hangover malaise style. Like no Trey, so that you don't ever want to say like it's the old Celtics, but like the old Celtics kind of like plays down the competition. Last year, they kind of proved that they doesn't matter who it is, they're going to play everyone in front of them hard. But that time, it wasn't the best. And they have long wings that can guard us, that play physical, get up into all of our like business. So you got to play hard the whole time, and you can't just flip the switch when you want to. Even though we were close, we lost by 1. Not the worst thing to do when you're in the NBA Cup, by the way. But you got to play harder than that. That's what it really came down to.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hawks game. I think what last night showed you, and to look back at the Hawks game, is that when the Celtics want to turn it on, they can turn it on. I mean, the defense, they turned the defense all the way up to that playoff defense we saw last year. It's clear some nights. I mean, it's tough to get up for the Hawks on a Tuesday night in November after you just won a title. I mean,
yeah.
This time last year, I would have been right with a lot of people making a big deal out of that game. But it's just hard when they did it last year. They were as consistent as they were last year, and then a big game last night, 15-0 Cavs coming in, and offensively they're always good, but defensively last night, especially in the first half, it was like you knew early, you knew within 5 minutes, like, oh man, they're locked in. It was
But back to the Hawks though, like. They got outshot by 25, 100-75. That's putrid, my man.
That's effort.
There's no other way to say it. But that's effort.
Exactly. An effort.
20 turnovers, 20 offensive rebounds, 18-second chance post. It's gross. It's gross. Yeah. But like you said, it's tough to get up for them in November, the Trayless Hawks, even though I think the Trayless Hawks might be better than the Trey Hawks. But whatever.
They are.
I mean, like you said, having Dyson Daniel, 28 points, 7 assists, like 12 to 21 of shooting.
Didn't he have 7 steals too?
Yeah, they just kept on throwing him the ball.
I think he had 24 steals in a 4-game span. Yeah. I mean, Dyson Daniels. Yeah, He was awesome. And I
I
mean, but
believe he was a Wolf.
a lot of that stuff's effort. It's just like sloppy effort play, beginning of the season. Now, if last night I saw more of it, that's when I would say, okay, something's wrong here. But it's just tough to get up for the Hawks in November. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially in the first in-season game, right? Because everybody made a big deal about, oh, we're losing the Hawks without Trae Young, but it's like in retrospect, like it's tough for the Celtics to really play. And by the way, we don't even have KP. We're not even really a full team yet. He opens up everything, and we'll get into that later. But obviously, having him helps in a game like that to kind of settle the team down. But just real quick, what are your thoughts on the in-season tournament so far, and the ratings and the quality that this tournament puts off?
I don't know what the ratings are, but I get calls from like my dad, who's a big baseball fan. He tosses on the Celtics because I like them, and he goes, "What's up with the green court, Steve-O?" And I go, "Well, it's an in-season tournament. They're trying to do a little thing so they can get more viewership, more interest in the low times of the season." And he's just like, "Well, the court's ugly, but I really like the thought process on it all." And same thing with my mother. My mother calls me. She's like, "Well, what is this? I'm really excited." She likes the court. Now she's a big flashy person, likes the green. That's cool. But I think overall you get the excitement. You had teams the other day going down to the wire just because the point differential. Sometimes it sucks when like you're really running up the score, but I think it's proven, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see many negatives to it. There's not, like, you don't have to be into it, and if you are into it, it creates a little bit of a narrative in a November game against the Hawks where no one else is going to tune into that game, but there's just a little bit more. There's a little bit more juice when it means a little bit of something. So like, I just don't see why some people hate on it. It's just. It's a regular season game at the end of the day. It counts the same on the record, but it adds a little juice. And I don't know, it was Celtics Hawks was a great game. There were a few really good finishes that first night. I think it was the game. It was the Heat. It was the game where Spoelstra called a timeout that he didn't have late in the game, and the Heat lost that way late. There were a lot of just like
what an idiot,
really good games. That like you're never talking. You're not talking about Heat Pistons on a Tuesday night in November, but you get a few more eyeballs and you get a few more close games. I mean, for a team like the Hawks, you're not winning the championship. You're probably not making the playoffs, but you could go to Vegas, and make the whatever. It's a Final Four for the cup or whatever. So, I mean, I think for a young team, that means something. It meant something for Indiana last year. Indiana made it to the finals, and Tyrese Halliburton was in the MVP race up until he got hurt in midseason. So for young teams and young players, I mean, I think it gets them up to go play the Celtics in the beginning of the season, where it's not just this means nothing. It's all right. Eyes are on us. Let's see what we can do.
If we win, where do you hang that banner, Tony? The Outback Center, the locker room. It's a rug on the ground. Like what do you do with that?
I'm putting it in the tunnel.
The tunnel.
Like Notre Dame, play like a champion today. They can pat it when they go out. When they're running out. That's what I want. That's what I'm in for. Where did the
rafters?
Where did the Lakers hang it? Did they put it in the rafters?
They did.
Yeah.
Did they?
Pathetic franchise. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
First time NBA in-season tournament winners right there, Los Angeles Lakers.
But I do think down the road, I've said before, it will create sort of a meaning over time. So I think in 10 years, it'll mean more than it does in year one or year two. It's more of a tradition, and it will turn into something that fans and players both get up for.
No, I agree. I think this tournament will be good down the line, and I enjoy it right now. I know there's people on Twitter or on X that don't enjoy it. I think it's kind of like phony or whatnot, but I personally enjoy it, and I think it's good for the game. But I do want to move to how you guys think the Celtics are overall. The games they've played so far. Obviously, this is our first episode, so we haven't been able to cover the first month in October of what they've done. and half of November. So just give me your thoughts so far in the season and what you like and maybe what you dislike about the Celtics so far.
I mean, it's more of the same on offense. The offense is great. It's obviously the paint scoring. Defensively, they haven't defended the paint. So that's the one area I think you can nitpick with. I do think that some of it is a little bit by design, that they're just kind of allowing the big to, the Cadas and the Cornets to cover. They'll trade twos for threes. It will bite you in the ass sometimes, but for the most part, when you have the level of shooting talent the Celtics have, you're going to win most of the games, even when you lose the paint battle. And like you said, KP's out. I don't know if he was first or second last year in rim defense, but that obviously means something. So overall, 12-3 to start is it 12 or 13?
12-3.
12-3 to start the year. You're still on a 63-win pace or whatever that is. There's not much to complain about. Paint defense is the one thing. We'll keep an eye on it going forward.
The team that won 80% of the games last year are winning 80%.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough. It's tough to get concerned about anything.
I know, right? Yeah.
It's kind of tough. No, like Tony said, it was kind of tough to evaluate this team with no KP. And then also they're experimenting. That's what I love about this team. They kind of did at the end of the season last year and what they're doing at the beginning of the season this year is experimenting in live games. Like you need to get those reps to see, can they work with the scheme? Do they know their rotations? Can they pass that ball in that short row? Please, Kada, find the open man. And then going from there, like Luke does a great job at that, but he's just his floor is a lot higher than Kada's, but Kada's ceiling so much higher. So it's great to get him involved, especially because he's a two-way guy. Like, so you can't expect too much from him, and he's doing a great job for where he is. No matter what I said, everything that makes it seem like I'm against him. But KP coming back, we just put out a little press release that the Celtics put out saying that he's in the next phase. Him and Tillman went down and played with the main guys that came to Boston. So good on Tillman for just really giving him that NBA body to play against. But you have all those guys, Walsh, so many different Springer going to be able to get in there eventually, against the Wizards. Or
haven't seen Walshy in a few games.
Yeah, he had a 3 the other day, no?
Yeah. I didn't see him last night.
Sometimes I treat him like a Make-A-Wish kid when he's in there. I'm like, come on, man, come on.
I know, I'm rooting for him. I do think Kada, the Kada stuff, like you touched on last night, Joe leaving him in the third quarter, in the moment as a fan, you're screaming at the TV. I'm sure all of us were, get his ass out of there. But that storyline of Kada it's just, to me, one of the most important things. If you're looking ahead to next season or just down the road roster management, if Kada turns into a guy, a third big, a second big, just for the way they're going to have to build their roster when all these contracts kick in, that's huge. So playing him against the Cavs in November is big. Let him get the reps. He's shown some stuff. He shows some weaknesses, but you have to see what you got. And that's one of the biggest storylines early for me.
And Al Horford's not going to play forever, even though he's hoarding the fountain of youth from the masses over there. He played 31 minutes last night. That's high for him. He took advantage of that extra time. 27-1 with 3 blocks, going 7 for 11 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3, team high plus 18. The Al Horford that we just saw last night is playoff Al. And he's not going to do that all the time because he coasts and reserves his energy. But it'd be great to.
But that was another big. That's another big storyline from last night. Is that you saw, like I said, against the Hawks. It's tough to get up for it. You saw Horford was the main guy last night. That he turned it right up to that playoff level that you saw all last summer. And boom, when it's a big game, there's Al, 3 blocks. He's guarding Garland and Mitchell on the perimeter. He's 4 for 5 from 3 or whatever he was. He's a stud. He's 38. It's ridiculous. If LeBron wasn't doing what he's doing, Al Horford would get more recognition for being 38 and being this good at basketball.
We're going to start a narrative. If Al,
seriously,
if that beautiful Dominican man with those sultry eyes wins another chip, we're going to have a conversation and put 42 in the rafters because He's been everything to this
we
organization
need to have
while
a
he's been here.
conversation about him he's a top 10 big man in the league still right now. Who are you taking in a playoff series that can guard on the perimeter, that can shoot 40% from three, that can play every coverage, drop, can switch? It's unbelievable. There's not many guys switching on Garland and Mitchell, and like you open up Twitter this morning, Garland went 3 for 21. If he's not going to do that again, he probably is against the Celtics because Al Horford's guarding him, and Drew and Derek. It's tough. It's tough for guards against the Celtics, and it's credit to Al Horford. He's 38. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. We're so lucky to have him.
Now let me ask you guys just a quick question about Al, because people talk about Al, obviously, like you guys do in a great way, but people hold it against him that he went to the 76ers when he first left Boston. I just didn't know. I didn't know where you guys were in on that. When Al left,
he was a double agent.
Double agent. That's what we call him.
That's
double agent Al.
Because people were like,
puts him higher on my list. He not only did he get us a title, but he sunk the Sixers. So it's
hindsight though, right? Because I was kind of pissed when it first happened. I was like, go get your bread, Al. I feel you. But then when I saw it unfold, it just the pure hatred that Philly fans have for him makes me love Al even more. No other fan base hates Al as much as the Philly fan base does, because we destroyed the process over and over and over again. Then he took a little vacation in OKC, got his knees ready, he got his whole body good, and what's he doing for us? Top 10 big in the league.
I mean, the possession last night where Garland got by him and kind of floated one up, and he could still at 38 get up there and swat that thing. And then I think it led. I don't know if it led directly to a Tatum three, but I think it led to a Derek three on the other end. I think at the time it was 107-102. Garland drives in. That could have made it a 3-point game. Instead, it's a 5-point swing. It's blocked from Al right up the court. Derek White three, like almost game over at that point. It's just demoralizing from the Cavs standpoint. It's like, Jesus Christ, this guy.
That's why I'm not scared of them. I mean, they say Darius Garland is going to have another shooting like that. 10 games against us, he has under 45% shooting. That's terrible. Really? That's just ridiculous. Get out of here with this little midget.
So also too, just for the pod's sake, I want you guys each to give me at least one weakness that you think the Celtics have. I don't care how small it is. Just give me one weakness that you think that they have, that you think they have to clean up in order to maybe win another championship. Put you on the spot here.
Oh, I got one. I think the obvious answer is the paint defense, but KP coming back should change that. So here's one that I thought about today, and I love my man JB, but Jaylen Brown is shooting under 30% from three this year. It's early, and I love him, but he's got to get that number up. He was rough last night, and he's been fine all year. He's been the same Jaylen as ever, but he can't be at 29.5% from three or whatever he is right now. I think it's under 30%. So that's something that I'd look for is if your second best player, or God forbid Tatum, gets an injury, or Derek or one of these guys, you need that 3-point percentage to go up a little bit. It's got to be at 33, 34% at least.
Yeah, he's sub 30% at 29.3.
How many attempts a game? Which I feel like he's cut down on, which is good, but
I don't know how 29%. But I mean, like his turnovers aren't bad, which is good, but he needs to be a better shooter. I think that's what it comes down to.
He was a little sloppy last night, and he was attacking all the mismatches, which was good. Even when he was missing, I was like, okay, I mean, you're going at Sam Merrill, like that's what we want. But I need that 3-point percentage to be higher.
He almost had one of those evil Jaylen games last night. He saved it. He saved it with the 8 assists. He was wild. The scoop, right? Layup there. I mean, the seal hunting is good within the game. Sometimes he gets it, and he's so strong, and he can bully people so easily that he kind of gets blinded at times. But yeah, I think the shooting, I think you hit it on the head right there. He would open up so much more for us if that's at least, mid-30s.
All right, I completely agree with both those statements. Obviously, Jaylen has had a couple subpar games, obviously 17 against Cleveland. He had 27 against the Raptors, 24 against the Nets, 37 against the Hawks, I guess, in that loss, and then 14 against the Bucks. He's kind of like a roller coaster right now, but I'm sure as the season goes on, he'll be better. So looking ahead, the Celtics' next 3 games, they play the Wizards, Timberwolves, and Clippers. Do you think the Celtics need to prove anything against, the Clippers or Timberwolves, or what do you think, you'd like to see from them coming out of that 3-game stretch?
Well, for the Wizards, to quote the great Doc Rivers, don't play with your meat. Just play Celtics basketball. Don't get bored with the process and maintain the effort throughout the game. The best that one can against the Wizards. I mean, they suck. It's just plain and simple. But you can't get bored with the process. It's the whole thing. Play within the scheme, and that should be an easy blowout. Wolves, I mean, Tony and I will be in attendance, and hopefully the boys can show out again for another marquee matchup. I mean, currently the Wolves give up 111.1 points per game, ranking 10th best, and allowing 35% from 3, ranking 9th best. So, I mean, they're going to be honest on D, but we just got to get those shots up and then hopefully generate good looks and run the floor, have active hands. I think we can win by double digits, but the Wolves' Achilles heel, to me at least, is I think the turnovers, and you got to generate assists against them because currently they sit at 22nd for a whopping 15.4 turnovers a game. That's crazy. And they're in the middle of packed for assists. So, Edwards, Randall, they're not passing. They get that ball, they're putting that thing up. So you just got to guard your yard there. The one I worry about the most, especially with no KP, is Naz Reid. That matchup's going to be interesting for us to go against because you can't sag off him. He's currently in the 50-40-90 club right now. So he's going to be an X factor for sure. What do you think about the Wolves, Tony? You and I are going to be screaming our lungs off there.
Wolves should be a battle. First night of a back-to-back, so that'll be interesting to see. I'm sure Al will play Sunday. So, I mean, that makes the Clippers a little more interesting with you're probably not getting Al on Monday. I mean, this weekend, again, like the Wizards are the Wizards, whatever. The things I look for in those games is like can Keita play 30 minutes and keep building on the positives that he's built so far? It's a bad team in the Wolves. Like, let's see Keita string together some more positive minutes. The Wolves are going to come in there like every other team, and they're going to want to knock off the champs. So you're going to get their best shot. I think it's prime time, 3:30 game.
Ooh.
Yep.
So, I mean, you're at home. They're going to generate good looks. Let's see what they do with Edwards. I mean,
who's also who's a sneaky player for the Wolves is Dante DiVincenzo. They got back in that Karl Anthony Towns trade. He's not really doing that well. I feel like his role there is kind of up and down. Some games he sees 20-plus minutes. Other games he's seeing like 14, 15 minutes. It honestly all depends on how he does when he gets subbed into the game in the first quarter, whether he plays a good amount in that game. But he's obviously an X factor for them. I'd like to see the Celtics compete to a high level against them because if you remember last year, people saying, oh, Wolves, Celtics, like that was like the matchup everybody wanted to see. Obviously that didn't happen. And the Celtics, they had close matchups with them last year. Probably going to happen the same way this year. You'd like to see them take care of business and prove that they're better than the Wolves, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. For the Clippers, though, what are we going to say, Tony?
I love DiVincenzo. Hasn't shot the ball well this year yet, which honestly, my weird Celtics brain is like, he's going 5 or 6 from 3 on Sunday for sure.
Oh my God!
Like
Why do they do that? Anderson hit us with the threes. I mean, all these random dudes. Of course, DiVincenzo.
At least DiVincenzo has a track record of shooting great. But yeah, what's he shooting this year?
32.3% from 3.
34.9
overall
on like 9 attempts a game. So yeah, we're getting 7 for 9 from DiVincenzo. Yeah, I'm so ready for it. I can't wait.
Yeah, and it's interesting what you said about Al not playing the back. I forgot it was back to back, and he'd probably play the front end of that, and that's going to be tough because Zubac is third
that'll be a tough
in
matchup.
Rebounds per game at 12.4, and we suck at rebounding. And then guarding your yard, the guards are going to have to be on top of their game because Powell has been shooting the lights out. Yeah. He's 23, 3 and 2, He's shooting 49, 48.7, and 81.7. And the nerds are going to love this. True shooting is at 63.8%. He's a weapon out there.
Norm Powell, man. Norm Powell. I think I'm pretty sure the Clippers are toward the top of the league defensively too, which is strange for a James Harden team to be that way, but it will be interesting to see.
The only thing with Norm Powell, he does have a lingering hamstring, so obviously don't know what his status is going to be for that game. I know he's kind of he got removed from the game. The last game, came back. He played a little bit, but obviously, will he be available for that game? Who knows? But Clippers are a sneaky team. I mean, they're not – obviously, Paul George, they don't have him anymore. Harden's still doing Harden things. But, their lineup, I mean, they're starting Chris Dunn, who spent, a stint here for, 5 minutes before we flipped him in a trade deadline, right? Am I right? He was here for, a cup of coffee and then left.
It might have been the year
for them.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good defensive player, so I feel like that's probably helps their defensive identity. I mean, Zubac inside.
Where do you think they rank in opposing giving up points, 1 through 10? Where do you think they rank?
I think they're in the top 5.
The 4th, 109.1. That's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah, you wouldn't think that, but so with the Clippers team, with like I said, with Harden on it, but Terrence Mann, is it Terrence Mann? He's a great defender.
Terrence Mann, they got
Dunn.
coming off the bench. They got him.
So they
off
do
the bench.
have some. Derrick Jones Jr. now, so they have some wing defenders. So it'll be interesting to see how the Jays deal with that second night of a back-to-back.
You think any Celtics take? You think any Celtics take that game off? Jaylen Brown, oblique, I'll take the night off. For Tatum, hamstring, I'll take the night off for a back-to-back. Or you think it's just Horford?
Tatum plays every game, so he doesn't take days off. But I mean, so back to the Jalen. I would like to see Jalen take time off because I don't. Maybe it's the hip that's affected him. He's
true.
Not. You know what I mean? He's even against Toronto. He was good late in the game defensively, but he was getting blown by RJ Barrett a lot. Which maybe that's just Toronto's 2-11. It's a Saturday night. I don't really care. I'll turn it on when I have to. That's probably what it is. But if the hip's at all an issue, give him some time off.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
I just want to get a win against the Wolves so I can watch ESPN and go on socials and not have to be berated with all this Anthony Edwards alpha or this, that, and the other. I mean, get out of here. Jayson Tatum is the Tim Duncan of wings, the silent assassin. He's coming for you.
I agree. Tim Duncan of wings has to be a high above courtside quote that we pound into the universe because he is the Tim Duncan of wings. And also, this is going to be a pro Peyton Pritchard 6 Man of the Year podcast. So that's what that's going forward. That's what I'm looking for. Peyton, keep stringing together these games. Let us work on the narrative. We're going to get you 6 Man of the Year this year.
Let's get that narrative going now. 15.3 points. He's shooting 46.9 from 2 overall, 42.3 for 3, and 88.5 from the line. The dude's a dog. All he does is light it up.
Nah, he's doing great. That will do it for us here in our first episode. You guys can follow us on X at HA Courtside, and we will see you guys in the next one. Thanks, guys.